everyone, welcome back to another Warhammer battle. This is going to be a 2v2 with me and Sarua both playing as orcs. My army is going to be led by Wurrzag. His army is going to be led by Azhag, which you don't see too often. But to go over the armies here, we're also facing off against a Chaos Warrior and a Beastman player. So my army, the front line is going to, it's kind of hard to tell right now because they're all moving into the forest, but they consist of 4 Savage Orcs, 2 Nasty Skulkers intermixed, and then the middle is the AP Loonies. I just like having the AP Loonies in the middle because they are unbreakable and they hold the center because of that very reason. Behind them we have the Rusty Heirs, we have the Crimson Killers, behind them are 2 Goblin Big Bosses, of course Wurrzag, our a Ragnarok Queen. Then over here we have 2 Savage Orc Boar Boys because, well, you don't see them that often, and I'm playing as Wurrzag, so I felt pretty savage today. And then 2 Squig Herds because we were facing off against Chaos and Beastmen, both of which have some heavy armor units like Bestigors and, well, Chaos Warriors and Chosen. But I Vanguard deployed these guys basically on top of another Vanguard deployed 3 Marauder Horse Masters who are now dealing some damage to our Squigs. A little bit, but not too much. Also, we have a Wolf Rider back here who was not in the tree line. Like, they're not invisible right now. And that's actually kind of pauses because a lot of stuff's going to be happening in these 7 minutes. But I was like, well, not many people actually look into the corners of the map anyway. And if you look at even the mini map, this is the blip for the Wolf Rider. This button right here kind of hides anything that's hidden in the... I did not put these here because of this. This is something I noticed when I was watching the replay. I was like, huh, even though they weren't hidden, if someone just looks at the mini map, unless your eyes are actually focused on that point and not, you know, over here, you can't even see it. So I was like, this may be a safe position to put the Wolf Riders. I'm actually going to move them up into this forest and hide them properly, and they're not going to be seen, or at least if they are, the enemy player doesn't care. But anyway, the rest of the Chaos Army here, front line of Chaos Warriors with great weapons. I think there's like 7 of them in here, or 6. We also have an Aspiring Champion, Kolek Sun Eater, Fire Sorcerer, Lord. Behind those, we have 2 Chaos Warriors with Halberds, 2 Hell Cannons, which are potentially very dangerous. Beastman player has a front line of Gore Herds, backed up by 2 Bestigors, 2 Ungor Spears, a Giant Malago the Dark Omen, 2 Gorbals, 2 Minotaurs, just normal Minotaurs. I think that's it. And then, of course, the 3 Horse Masters. I think that's their entire army. Then we'll end up on Cyril's army here. He has a front line of Night Goblins. So they have the AP Loonies and the Warlord Boys on the flanks, and the 2 normal Night Goblins behind them. Then behind them is going to be a line of Black Orcs. Behind those is going to be 2 Night Goblin Archers, and then the Rusty Heirs. And then we also have 2 Orc Biggins in the back. We have the Rock Lobber, the Durkick Squigs, Night Goblin Squig Hoppers, normal Squig Hoppers, 2 Squig Herds, Azhag the Slaughterer. I think that's going to be his army. I was really surprised that he brought these Squig Hoppers. You don't see these guys often. I only bring them when requested because, well, they look cool. You know what? Maybe I just need to give them more of a chance. But anyway, so those are going to be the armies. I am immediately pulling over into this forest to try and give some room for Surreal's army to come over here. And I believe my things don't engage. I need to re-engage those. Shoot. Anyway, he's going to deploy over here. I'm going to try and deploy in this forest, and I'm going to be taking on the Beastman player, which is kind of odd. I thought I was be playing against the Chaos player, but the Chaos player is actually going to shift the forces behind the Beastman and engage against Surreal, and the Beastmen are going to march straight forward into my army. So I'm like, okay. My Squig Herds are currently being kind of chased off by these Horse Masters, but the Horse Masters don't do as much damage in the forest because, well, they're ranged damage, and you see a lot of those shots were eaten up by the trees. So Horse Masters, while very good units, I think, for the price that you get, not as effective in forest, just like any other range, because look at all that. By the time the Javelins actually get to these Savage Orcs, there's really not much left. So they're going to actually pull out of the trees, probably noticing this, and join their army. Meanwhile, I'm getting ready to receive the line of Gore Herds. Gore Herds and Savage Orcs, you know, actually, hold on, let's slow this down real quick. I have never really directly compared them. Also, my army wasn't in a group, so when I clicked an attack order, they clicked all on one person, so I had to regroup them really quick and give them other attack orders. So let's see, 36 melee attack, 26 charge bonus. 36 melee attack, 24 charge bonus. So it looks like the Gore Herds have less strength, less hit points, slightly. They do have Frenzy, but I think Frenzy's kind of bugged right now. Because I think it goes away before the 50%, before you receive 50% leadership. Anyway, let's just keep playing. They're somewhat evenly matched, but looks like we're going to get our charge off before they do. I'm casting Fist of Gork on these Nasty Skulkers, which is going to be giving them a 77 melee attack and 53 melee defense. Because Nasty Skulkers deserve the Fist of Gork, you know? And so just going to be a combat down the line here. Gore Herds on the AP Loonies, Gore Herds on Savage Orcs, Gore Bulls coming in, more Nasty Skulkers dealing with Gore Herds. They are on their own. I try to team them up with other units, but right now they are holding the line by themselves. Our two goblin big bosses are going to get into this one Gorble and try to deal some damage there. I'm going to kind of keep Wurrzag in the back and try and keep him safe away from these Gorbles, because two Gorbles are very deadly for any hero. The rusty arrows are going to be hitting the left flank where they do have some of their Minotaurs, and Azag is actually going to help us here in taking out the Minotaurs briefly and these Gore herds. Lucky for me, I am not having to deal with two Gore herds or two Gorbles charging my Wurrzag. There goes a foot of Gork on these units over here just because they were clumped up together, and we got a lot of great damage, and that is going to be the end of my enemy's left flank, and we're going to be able to kind of just wheel around and collapse in on our center, although we are losing the left flank, so I'm kind of doing a trade-off here. And here comes Kolek Sun Eater coming up to my Rusty Arrows, which is not going to be good for me, but I'm going to be pulling back our Goblin Big Bosses who are still dealing with the Gorbles, and I'm going to be pulling them back against the Kolek here. My Cav is going out, including my Squig Riders, my Savage Boar Boys, and the Wolf Riders to try and deal with these Cell Cannons before they can deal too much damage to Surreal's Black Orcs, which I think they were starting to fire at. Nasty Skulkers got a little too crazy and moving way out there because they were just chasing these Gore herds. I'm going to wrap them back around and they're going to slam into the back of the center of the line here. The damage that this Gorble is taking has been a lot due to the Crimson Orcs that it is fighting, and I'm sorry, Crimson Killers, and the two Goblin Big Bosses who are now chasing off Kolek Sun Eater. Kolek Sun Eater is running away from these two Goblins, which is a funny sight, I think. Meanwhile, my Ragnarok Queen is holding off the other Gorble and the Gore herds and Minotaurs in the middle. So that's very good of them. And then here come the Nasty Skulkers. There's their Opportunistic Murderer proc, or proc-king. And so they're going to get a lot of nice armor piercing and poison damage in on these Bestigor herds from the rear flank here. And these Bestigors are going to kind of melt, because the Nasty Skulkers are nasty, very nasty. Gorburl is going to disengage from the center and go into our Rusty Arrows again. I think I'm going to pull off some unit. I think my Goblin Big Boss is going to go over here. We have a Devolve being cast by Malagor the Dark Omen, who's just kind of hanging out in the forest. At this point, our Cav is now shut down both of these Hell Cannons, which is a huge boon for us, and we're going to be pulling them up the field. I'm engaging with this Cygor with the Wolf Riders just to keep him busy in melee and against a unit that is a lot less expensive than he is. This Giant was kind of mismicroed a little bit and is just kind of hanging out in this forest for a while, which is, you know, cool for me that I don't have to fight it. Meanwhile, Wurrzag and his Goblin Boys are just kind of teaming up on this one Gorble, and we are going to chase him off the field and eventually rout him with one of our Goblin Big Bosses. The other Gorble is coming up, and so we're going to have to deal with him as well. Ragnarok Queen and the 8-peak Loonies over here, along with our Savage Orcs, are finishing up these Minotaurs and the Gore herds that were here. The Bestigor herd that these Nasty Skulkers recharge is now running for their lives, and I'm going to, I think, give them another attack order into this Chaos Warrior group, I think. But the Crimson Killers have just been holding the center slash left flank, is just brutalizing so many Bestigors and Chaos Warriors and holding on for a long time. The Crimson Killers are an amazing unit. Amazing unit. Over here we have this Gorble being engaged with the Goblin Big Bosses, and I think I'm about to pop a potion on one of our Goblins. There we go. And we also have the Savage Orcs nearby to just give numbers for the Gorble to hit instead of our heroes. So that's what they're doing there. Meanwhile, the Crimson Killers, the Nasty Skulkers are getting devolved again, but we have Squig Herd reinforcements coming in to try and finish off these Chaos Warriors with great weapons. My Savage Orcs are going in here to try and silence Malagor the Dark Omen. My other Savage Orc is over here to continue dealing with the Cygor, just to keep them busy. And we'll get into the Chaos fight here in just a moment. The Ragnarok Queen being pulled off over here to destroy the rest of the Chaos Warriors with great weapons. Minotaurs dealing with our two Savage Orcs over here. The Giant, I think, is still not engaged in battle, but I think does start moving soon-ish. That's a huge mismicro on my enemy's part, but, you know, things happen. So at this point, we have now chased off both Gorbles with our Goblin Big Boss group. This is... the Greenskins version of the Gorbles is kind of these guys. These guys, while not equal in power, due to the nature of just their cost, they are very cheap hero units, very mobile hero units, and decent damage with potion accessibility. The two Goblin Big Bosses are kind of just as potent as Gorbles because of their cost. Now, against two Gorbles, like one-on-one, they would lose. But I'm just saying, these Goblins pack a huge punch, which is why you see them all over the place. So right now, we're just trying to finish off Malagor the Dark Omen. The Giant is now finally being pulled into combat, but it is a little too late for the Beastmen at this point. We have routed off most of their forces. Let's see, where's Wurrzag? There he is. He's over here. I think he's going to be engaged by the Giant here briefly. I'm going to cast, what is that ability? Little fetish ability. I can't remember what it's called. Effigy it again. I'm going to cast Effigy to get to hold that giant in place because we do not want to do a 1v1 with Wurrzag and a giant, even if he's on the board. And that is going to be when the enemy army is going to rout off the field, and we will be victorious. But let's watch this again from Surreal's point of view, as with his clash against the forces of chaos. So here we see Kolick is going to pop Foe Seeker and Deadly Onslaught to try and get closer to Azhag and do some damage to him here before he disengages, which he's clearly trying to do. And he's going to get one, he's going to get one hit off, and I think Azhag is going to be able to fly. And I believe this is when Kolick is going to charge into my Durusty Errors and then be chased off by the Goblin Big Bosses. We have a group of Black Orcs here just going to be crushing these Gore Herds. They don't really have much of a chance, especially since they didn't get their charge bonus off. Also, Azhag coming back. Yeah, that Gore Herd breaks pretty quickly under the weight of the Black Orcs. Cygor, ooh, actually got a really good shot off on these Black Orcs. Really good shot. So the line of Chaos Warriors with Great Weapons is going to be meeting against the front line of the Night Goblins here, along with this Black Orc and Azhag. Actually, I think Azhag's getting pulled out. The Marauder Horse Masters are going to engage against like a kind of a skirmish battle with, I believe, the Hammer of Gork over here and these Squig Herds. Black Orcs being stacked on top of the Night Goblins is a really good idea due to the Night Goblin poisoning the Black Orcs' enemies, and the Black Orcs are just very tanky, very high damage dealing units, even against these Chaos Warriors. Especially when backed up by Azhag. I believe Kolick is going to be coming back here very soon. There he is, trying to kill Azhag. Casting the Thunderbolt spell on those Black Orcs, and Azhag is just going to, pull through his own units and escape Kolick here. You can see the Night Goblin Archers are trying to support these Squig Hoppers and Squig Herds against these Horse Masters, sorry. They are now pulling out of range of the Night Goblin Archer group. Front line is looking pretty well for the Black Orcs. Black Orcs alone against Chaos Warriors Great Weapons, I believe, do win that matchup pretty solidly. Especially when backed up with the poison damage of the Night Goblins, is going to win that even more. We had a Purple Sun of Zarius being dropped by Azhag. I'm sorry I missed that there, but it did a lot of decent damage to these two Chaos Warriors over here. And now they're going to start running for their lives. Meanwhile, back there, we had just crushed the Hell Cannons. I thought about charging into these Halberdiers real quickly with our Savage Orcs, and I was like, no, let's not just commit suicide against these Halberdiers, so we're not going to engage them. Down here, Kolick is still trying to chase around Azhag. Wherever Azhag lands, Kolick is going to be there to meet him. So Azhag is going to withdraw, I believe, from this battle again. But right now, Azhag is taking a lot of damage from these Black Orcs. I'm sorry, Kolick is taking a lot of damage from the Black Orcs and Azhag, and also these Night Goblins who are nearby. I believe start firing on him pretty soon. And Kolick is trying to chase Azhag, but he cannot reach him. And Azhag is going to be able to fly off. And now he's just going to get peppered with the Night Goblin Archer fire. Meanwhile, the Chaos Warriors' Great Weapons are still buckling under the weight of all of the Black Orcs. The Horse Masters are being engaged, I believe, and being routed off the field over here by these Squig Herdsmen there. And the other ones are just being currently chased off by the other Squig Herds, and so they're not really affecting the main battle line over here. And not many Chaos Warriors with Great Weapons are left. You can see a Spirit Leech being dropped on a routing Kolick there from Azhag. I think these Night Goblin Archers were still attacking Azhag, so they are walking into combat against these Chaos Warriors. That's fine. The only leadership the Chaos Warriors have anymore is going to be this Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Fire. I'm sorry, Chaos Sorcerer of Fire. Who's now being dealt a pretty nasty hand by these Black Orcs. I believe he cast a Fire Cascade. You click over here on the one great Chaos Warrior that is remaining along with these Chaos Warriors with Halberds, who are now going to be trying to reinforce their Dark Brothers in the front line against the Black Orcs. Kolick, I believe, is actually going to come back from running and come up over here again. I'm not sure what happens after that. But I think he is being chased off by these Squig Hunters. Azhag is going to be rejoining his forces over here against what remains of the Chaos, which is not much. Only the Halberdiers over here. We have the other group of Halberdiers over there, but they are starting to lose their leadership. And the Chaos Sorcerer of Fire is buckling under the Black Orcs. Over here, the Aspiring Champions are holding off these Biggins fairly well. Fairly well. Meanwhile, the Goblin Rocklobber, or the Hammer of Gork over here, has been, I think, firing just on these Marauder Horse Masters. Yeah. Maybe it's got some hits in, I'm not entirely sure. But you just see all these Squigs back here chasing off the other two Horse Masters. It's kind of a funny sight. But the main battle line is now going to crumble under the weight of the Black Orcs, the Night Goblins, Azhag, and that is when the mass routing is going to happen. So good game to our opponents and to Surreal. Wurrzag getting 67 kills in this battle. I don't think I showed it, but I did throw him in to fight off against, I think, some Chaos Warriors, or maybe it was a Bestigor herd that was running away, but he got a lot of kills there, and especially a lot of kills with the Foot of Gork that we dropped. The Gun Big Bosses did what they do. They chased off the Gorbals, because you know that's supposed to happen. Crimson Killers, 164 kills. They were just rocking it. The Ragnarok Queen, 59 kills. I did summon her Spiderling Hatchlings, I think, against the Cygor later in the match. I was saving them for a really good situation that I needed to halt somebody, and I think I just ended up using them on the Cygor, I think. The Squig Herds got a decent amount of kills each. The Nasty Skulkers, 127. This was the one that I cast Fist of Gork on, that then wrapped around behind the other best score unit. 120. This thing is 500. 500 in cost. But if you support it correctly, my god. A lot of those kills are Bestigors and Gore Herds, which both cost more than Nasty Skulkers. Savage Orcs traded blows pretty equally with the enemy's Gore Herds. AP Loonies held the line to the bitter end, so good for them. They didn't really do too much else besides that. And then the Rusty Areas got 24 kills there. For Surreal, 88 kills on Azhag. Again, he got a really good Purple Sun of Xarius, which you don't see often. I'll try to show it in a cinematic view there. So he got a lot of kills from that, and just from melee in general. The front line of Night Goblins did their job. They poisoned the enemies. The Biggins didn't get to do too much, but the Black Orcs held the middle and crushed those Chaos Warriors. And then the Squig Herds were just running against the Horse Masters, and 45 kills for the Hammer of Gork. For CA and his noble Nasty Flyers, that's right, this makes me remember, this person really hates Flyers, and I remember after this match, they had, let's say, some choice words to say to Surreal because he brought a single Chaos, or a single Azhag on a flying mount. That's not even crazy. Like, this person must have really bad days fighting against Empire, Bretonia, and like other Chaos players, because like he lost his shit against Surreal because he brought Azhag on a flying mount. Like, I have not seen that type of hate for quite a long time, and it popped in my mind because seeing his name here. But anyway, this person who hates Flyers, 62 kills on Kolek, 33 on those Aspiring Champions, and they were fighting those Biggins off there on the right flank. The Chaos Warriors Great Weapons did actually get a lot of kills against the Goblins they were fighting, and some against the Black Orcs. The Halberdiers didn't get to do too much. The Horse Masters were just in this weird fight with the Squig Herds, like the entire battle. And then we crushed the 2 Hell Cannons. And then for Rex here, let's see, Malagor 6 kills. He wasn't really doing too much like in melee or any kind of offensive spells. The Gorbals got 20 kills each, which is not super great, but they were kind of separated through most of that, and I was able to kind of isolate them and kill them off one at a time. The Gore Herds, for the most part, traded blows equally with our Savage Orcs. The Bestigors didn't get to do too much because they were fighting against Crimson Killers and Nasty Skulkers, both of which are very good at killing high armored units. The Minotaurs, though, 170 kills is really impressive. This one, I'm not sure what happened. I think they were the ones on my left flank, the ones that Azhag came in and attacked, and I was focusing them down with the Rusty Arrows in the very beginning. I believe that had been that unit, because the other one, I think, was in the center of our lines, center-ish. And then the Giant just kind of got mismacro with 0 kills. So yeah, that's going to be the battle, everybody. Let's just watch it one more time with a quick cinematic view. Look at those Savage Orcs. So I was finally able to upgrade my computer here, and so I can actually run everything on Ultra, and there's definitely a difference running this game on Ultra and how everything looks. Go figure, they look better. Like, just running through these trees with the lighting on Ultra now and the shadows and everything, that just looks cool. It's like a whole new game. Man, just a bunch of, like, naked warriors going at it. That's basically what's happened over here. There goes an effigy to get, I think, on the Gorbal over there. I was only able to cast 2 in this battle. I want to see that Purple Sun of Xarius. That's coming up soon. These Crimson Killers really held this area down the entire battle. They are so good. They're so good. And they look so amazing. Here come those nasty skulkers. They're so good too. I think this is the Purple Sun Azarius. So, I know I'm not showing health bars, but I've watched this part, and it really did do a lot of damage to these Chaos Warriors. I was kind of surprised. And like, the problem with Vortex spells isn't necessarily that they don't do enough damage, it's just that they're so random and wherever they're going to go. That's the main problem. You can see it just kind of, it does initially really well, but then just kind of goes off way over there. I can't see you. I think I'm like right on top of you. I am. Bodies, man. Normally, like, I think for me, the bodies disappear, but just now they actually stay in the battlefield. It's kind of actually hard to see them in the forest, but battles look pretty brutal when you have everything turned up high, because the bodies and the blood stay. And yeah, it's kind of nuts. Just look at this, man. Look at all that. Dead Minotaurs, random Chaos Warriors running around. You see where the main engagement here happened all the way down the line. Run, Chaos Sorcerer! Yeah, there's those spiders. This Cygor killed a lot of my Wolf Riders and some Savage Orc War Boys. Look at all these bodies here. Oh no, look at these puppies. Oh, you poor puppies. Oh, you did work though. You held that Cygor off from doing anything else except for killing somewhat cheap. And well, the Savage Orc War Boys are not exactly cheap, but the Wolf Riders are. Bye, puppies. Hope you enjoyed the battle, everybody. I will see you all next time. Take care.